Crazy Town Podcast. I'm Jonas.
And I'm TNT9. I'm like the explosive one. Let's crack into another one.
TNT.
Yo.
So, remember how, like, when you were in school, when we were in school, you had to take, like, those standardized tests, and, like, they would be on, like, some of the, like, most basic types of learning, like, you know, like, science and math and history and, like, stuff like that, just to make sure you had a basic understanding of all of the things.
You mean like the Scantron jump-offs?
Scantron jump-offs. Yeah, I think that's what their technical name was.
I bet.
Yeah. So, you know, and I think, like, as the internet has evolved, it feels like the focus on high school education has went down and that they're really just like, from the people I know that have worked in schools over the last few years, it's like they teach to make sure that they get the good scores on those tests. It's not about teaching so the students understand what the hell they're learning. Okay. So
I don't really know how to comment on that because I don't go to high schools.
So
I don't.
Here's what I'm getting at.
I don't.
Mississippi has decided that they are going to take away, or at least they're trying to pass it, that the history test. So they're going to take away a standardized test that you have to learn so much about American history to, like, pass school. Do you think?
I wonder what parts of history they're going to cut out, Jonas.
But do you think that? Because, like, in what I've found, like from being around people who are younger than me, from, like, playing volleyball and stuff, and, like, whatever, talking to people, I feel like people don't understand history in general. Like, they know what the news tells them and things like that. But, like, you know, how do you feel that it affects the world if people don't understand the history of how we got to where we are today?
It's very, very strange that you bring this up. And I only say this because recently there seems to have been a lot of, like, erasure of history when it comes to certain people or whatever. Not to mention the whole idea of who started the Ukraine war, and that seems to be up for, like, review, and that shit happened a year and a half ago. So I don't understand how history. We can't even call that history, man. That's just like it happened, you know. Like the same with, like, if you bought a car a year and a half ago, that's not history. The car is still here.
Right.
I think it is important that we know about history so we can learn of the mistakes of our past. And I think that's why a lot of history teachers focus on some of those things, like the way the Native Americans were treated, the way the Jewish people were treated, the way blacks were treated in America. I think, like, a lot of those things are very important. Even, like, Egyptian history should come into play with that, because
all the empires, like, people who tried to take over the world and what you learn, like from that, like, all that stuff, right?
Yeah, and it should prove a point as to what we should try to avoid when it comes to making decisions for our country, our society, in the future. So I think history is important, and I wouldn't even say that I have a super strong grasp of any of it, but I know what the Trail of Tears are. I know what slavery was. I know that
the Boston Tea Party.
I know what happened at Auschwitz. I've seen, you know, we've seen movies, we've done the research when we were kids, and I realized some of the trials and tribulations that our brethren had to go through. So I think that it is important that at least those parts of history are instilled. Now, do we need to know who created the cotton gin, or who created the first light bulb, or even a list of presidents in order? Hell no. Who freaking cares about a bunch of, like, dead guys? Policies that they made, absolutely super important. Abraham Lincoln did some great things. I mean, George Washington is being the first president. That's some heavy shoes to fill, man.
Right? Yeah.
Like, you got nobody to go off of. So yeah, talk about some of the policies, some of the good things that they did, but we also have to realize the negatives. All right.
Yeah.
So we're not going to sit up here and protect Ben Franklin for his crimes and atrocities. On the same note, man, we need to look at him and be like, brother was tripping.
Yeah.
You know, if you can tell me that Martin Luther King was tripping, yeah, then I can say Ben Franklin was tripping. Guess what? Everybody trips.
Yeah. Oh,
but
no,
tell me
sure.
about some of the good they did. Tell me about some of the bad they did.
Yeah, and I agree. I think but I also think it's important like to teach people, like you said. It's like I feel like all of those lessons learned are basically like true life Aesop fables, right? Like you learn, hey, you try to fly too close to the sun, you're gonna get burnt, you're gonna fail, you're gonna die. It's like so it's like yeah, like. I'm sure even Alexander the Great was like, I'm going to take over the world. Started getting really successful at it, but guess what? At some point, you're going to spread your ass too thin, and you're going to get got. Like, you can never be, like, it's that everyone wants power. Everyone wants all the power, but there's only a limit so far you can get with power before you fail. Like, you will never be the supreme ruler of the whole world. Never.
That's true.
Like, it's in, like, just like you said, like, enslaving people, enslaving nations, doing all that. Even learning, like you said, from where the country started, like why we came here in the first place, why we did what we did, like all of those sort of
things.
The
religious prosecution.
Exactly, like all of that stuff.
Why are we prosecuting people who just want to live their lives?
Right, like it's literally like I think it helps drive conversation, it helps drive understanding, especially like for the people who are not part of the marginalized communities, like people who are not Native American, people who are not Black, people who are not Egyptian, like whatever. Like you need to understand I think it comes back to understanding the privilege and understanding like what you didn't have to go through, because you need to understand what the hell the world was like, not just like why didn't mom buy me a new fucking iPhone. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like everything has become, it's so weird because like everything especially in the last probably 10 years has become just all about technology. And I feel like no one even thinks about like the shit that happened before that. Everyone's like iPhones, tablets, internet, like whatever, social media. It's like the world at some point didn't have any of that. And like no one understands how it worked, nor do they care.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's weird to think about that, but like all of that is why we have that stuff today. And like nobody gives a shit. Everyone becomes self-centered and selfish and in their own bubble, and it's weird, man.
So if I were to tell somebody what we're discussing is the very essence of pragmatic thinking. It's taking the experiences of others and putting the good points of that and applying them to your life so that you achieve success beyond that person. So your father, he tries to instill pragmatics in you. Your mother tries to do the same thing. She tells you, she knows the mistakes she's made, and she tries to make sure that you don't make those same mistakes.
Right.
When you were first researching the stock market, you looked into a bunch of different people who were speaking on it. You listened to a lot of different voices, and you took the best pieces of that information, and you collaborated that into what you think today.
Right.
That is the basis of pragmatics. So I do not understand why we can apply that same skill to so many other different venues of our life. But when it comes to tolerance or understanding or like the parts of history that are important to learn and teach to the next generation, that same idea of pragmatics goes out the window. So I'm not necessarily saying it's that I want, because I feel like I don't really want to get political, but I feel like it's kind of already going there.
I mean, it's fine.
But I just do not like the idea that people feel like guilt is the end goal to that, because guilt is not the end goal. Understanding is, and calling out the people who act like assholes. We in this country used to punch Nazis in the face, and people cheered. And now we're at the point in this where we're like, I can't wait till this Nazis album drops, or I can't wait to go out and buy this Nazis car. You know, so, so I just don't understand where we went wrong.
It's like we're forgetting all the lessons that were taught to us in history, and that's why I guess history repeats itself, because people forget. And like if you're not teaching history, it allows people to forget the mistakes of the past.
And that's what I think we're going for. And I don't like other countries don't deal with it like this, man. You bring up some Nazis in Germany, the people who literally housed the Nazis, they will drag your ass to prison.
Yeah,
it is illegal to do Nazi shit in Germany. That's insane.
Yeah, like yeah, man, it's pretty freaking wild.
It should be the same here, and to a certain degree, there are some repercussions that you can get for being an
some
intolerant
people
asshole.
still will do some street justice if people out doing Nazi shit, you know.
Brother,
but like,
if I can take you to court for discrimination, I'm cool with it. Right?
Yeah, it's just wild though. It's like because like I feel like it's just I don't know, like it just feels like people. I feel like people are lost because they don't even understand what they're living for or why they're able to live the way they are and stuff. It's just like they're just mad that like they didn't get the they didn't get the Mercedes-Benz for their birthday. They got the Tesla instead. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, but if like,
I don't know, man. Like 90% of Americans are living paycheck to
yeah,
paycheck.
I mean, you're not. Yeah, but I feel you. But anyways,
I think they're more concerned about living, and they're just like, I don't give a fuck what race you are. But on the same note, you need to learn.
Yeah,
all
so
right, we all do.
Yeah, but
Either way, okay.
Anyways, go to crazytown.com, subscribe. That's all the time we have for today's episode. Go there, Jonas.
See you,
Oh, yeah.